A2, adoption of the agenda. Are there any consent agenda items that a board member would like to have discussed as an action item? Hearing none, do I have a motion that the governing board approve the adopted meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Florio. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. All right, moving along to B, executive session. B1, I call for a motion that the governing board enter into executive session.
Move that the governing board move into executive session.
Thank you, Mrs. Florio. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passed. Hello, everybody. We'll begin probably in about 2-3 minutes. So thank you for being patient. All right. Good evening, everybody. We will continue on the board meeting. We're going to move along to C, reconvene, C1, which has just started, and now C2, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. D, presentation, D1 Alhambra Foundation of the Future Scholarship Recipients. Mr. La Liberty will present our winners. Recipients, sorry.
They are winners, right?
Yes.
Good evening, President Navarez, governing board members, Superintendent Dr. Maez, and members of the Alhambra community, and thank you for welcoming us this evening. I have the honor of serving as president of the Alhambra Foundation for the Future. At Alhambra, we believe every child deserves not only a quality education, but also the opportunity to dream big and pursue those dreams beyond our classrooms. With the support of dedicated staff and the unwavering love our students receive at home, we continue to strive to build a future where every student leaves us prepared for college, for their careers, and for life. Alhambra began awarding scholarships back in 1961, but in 1993, that tradition deepened with the creation of the Alhambra Foundation for the Future, launched by teachers, staff, and administration under the leadership of then Superintendent Carol G. Peck. That first year, the Alhambra Foundation awarded just 4 scholarships. Since then, we've steadily grown year by year. And some of you will know these numbers. 3 years ago, we awarded 35 scholarships. 2 years ago, 42. Last year, 48. And this year, I'm very thrilled to say that we are awarding 53 scholarships to deserving former Alhambra students. That kind of progress does not happen alone. Behind every scholar is a team, family, mentors, teachers, and friends who encouraged, challenged, and believed in them. And to all of you here tonight who played a role in the student's journey, thank you, and maybe a round of applause for all those people that we love, right? To honor this year's scholarship recipients and give you a closer look at our mission, we'd like to share a short video featuring one of our incredible scholars who for the past 4 years was a recipient of the Alhambra Foundation for the Future Scholarship and is now a recent graduate. When I say recent, I mean last couple of weeks, she graduated from NAU. She earned her bachelor's degree in education and has chosen just in the past couple of weeks to begin her career with us here as a teacher. Yay, we're happy about that. That's for sure. And while not every AFF recipient chooses a path of education, some pursue, and we have them, they're all represented here tonight. Some pursue careers in medicine, some in engineering, some in finance, some in the arts, and many, many more. We take great pride in all of them. But as an an elementary school district, it's especially meaningful to us when a former student returns to serve in the community that helped to shape them. So with that, please enjoy our video.
So my mom is a second grade teacher at Alhambra in Granada Primary for second grade. And I definitely grew up in that teaching household. I always wanted to help her neighboring teachers. I volunteered at different events, and I love being part of the community and helping her classroom. And playing teacher, I would make my brother be my student, and I would go on the smart board and teach him a lesson. So I went to Granada Primary for kinder through third grade, and then I went to Alhambra Traditional from fourth to eighth grade. The teacher who made the biggest impact on me was Miss Valverde. She was my sixth grade teacher at Alhambra Traditional, and she just had such a loving classroom environment. She really made me feel seen as an individual person rather than as a student in her classroom, and I think that just had a big impact on me and changed the way that I viewed schooling and being a teacher. I attended Northern Arizona University, and I received a degree in elementary education and Spanish. I really loved living in Flagstaff. I loved the community aspect, the small town feeling, and I feel like the community there is a lot more tight knit, and I just really enjoyed the atmosphere. It wasn't until I went to the career fair and I met Mark, and I had my interview with him, and it made me just really connect with the school district again. I had a really hard time connecting with schools up there and finding my place and finding somewhere where I really wanted to start a career. But meeting Mark, getting to know Alhambra again, and realizing that I wanted to come back made me decide to move. I'm currently starting my first year at Sevilla East. I will be teaching first grade in the Alhambra district. I'm super excited. I wanted to come back to Alhambra because I felt that growing up, it was a district that really made me feel capable and like I mattered, and I want to be able to give that feeling back to my students. I'm happy to say that I graduated with zero debt, and that is thanks to AFF. It especially helped me during my student teaching semester when I was unable to work while student teaching. So I was able to make up that income with the scholarship, and it made a huge difference. I would just like to say thank you so much for allowing me to pursue my education and my career further. I'm so happy to move on to the next chapter of my life without stressing about college debts or anything holding me back, and I can just go for my career now.
All right, so if we could have the governing board come on down and help us to congratulate our scholars, we'd appreciate that. And as we do this at the end, we'll have an opportunity for a big group photo. So parents, friends, family, please feel free to come on up and take pictures as we do. Yeah, thank you. All right, first up, we have Adriana Jaramillo, who is going to be going to Arizona State University studying medical studies and population health. Monique Ortega, University of Phoenix, Business Administration and Management. Atsiri Lara Anguiano. Thank you very much. So he's going to be going to let's see, she's going to, I'm going to get this right here. My apologies. Siri is going to ASU and studying nursing. Sorry about that. Well done. Yes. Then we have Daniel. Tell us who's next up. Daniel is going to be going to Glendale Community College and studying computer science. We have Dimitri Landé, and Dimitri is going to the Berklee College of Music, and he is studying music production. Next up, we have Elisa Leila, and Elisa is going to Glendale Community College studying music education. Francisco Carranza is next, and Francisco is going to ASU studying computer science. Lola Ralston is here, going to the University of Arizona studying biology. Mia Warner went to ATS, and she is going to Howard University and will be studying, oh my gosh, I got Mia on here. Mia. Mia, what are you going to be studying over there at Howard? Health sciences, that's right. Well done, thank you. We have Miguel Moreno. Miguel is going to ASU, and he is studying biotech. We have Ravi Slickman. Ravi is going to, apologies. Ravi is going to the University of Arizona. He went to ATS and he's studying business economics. Next up is Sebastian Tellis. Sebastian is going to Grand Canyon University. He attended Granada East and he is studying business administration management. And we have Xavier Slickman. And Xavier is going to be going to, let's see, Slickman, Arizona State University, and he's studying pharmacology. So big congratulations to all of our scholars. Scholars, if you'd come on up, we can get a group picture with you all. And parents and friends, please come on up and take their pictures.
One, two. Right in that window, right there, perfect. One, two.
We got a few more people wanting to grab pictures. Give us just one sec. And unless there are any questions, that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Liberty, for presenting these wonderful recipients. And thank you, students and college-bound students for taking on this opportunity and also investing into yourself, investing into your families, and investing into your future. So good luck, and we'll be here.
President Navarez?
Yes.
I also would like to say congratulations to all of the scholars. For me, I am a first generation college student, so I know what it's like to not come from money and not know how to fund my education, but I was able to take advantage of the University of Arizona Arizona Assurance Scholar Program. But I still remember not having food or having the necessities I needed during college. So just know that your community is behind you, and that if you need anything, please reach out to us. And we hope that you do come back, because although you may not be in education, you may be in computer science or engineering or nursing, we need all of those professions here in the district in a variety of different departments. So you'll always have a home here. Please come back, and you can also fill these seats up here as governing board members as well. So please, please, please come back home to Alhambra after you go away and learn everything you need to learn. And thank you to the parents for all of your support and for trusting your kids with us all of those years. And we just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Thank you. And at this time, we will take a quick 3-minute break. So for those who want to stick around, by all means. For those who need to grab dinner, it's up to you. What's the word? You don't have to go home, but you can stay here. Well, you can. You can definitely stay. A lot of STEM pursuing majors. Yeah. All right, moving along to E, public comment. No public comment. Moving to F, consent agenda. I call for the motion that the governing board approve consent agenda items F2 through F14.
I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items F2 through F14.
Thank you, Mr. Gonchas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. No presentation. All right. So then moving along to G, Business Department. G1, 2020-25 and 2020-26 proposed annual budget. And Mr. Daniel Coffinger will be here to present and answer any questions.
Good evening, President Navarez, governing board members, Superintendent Dr. Maez. Tonight, I am presenting the 2025-2026 proposed expenditure budget. All right, so I think it's a good idea. I'm going to start doing this anytime we do any kind of budget revision or budget activity of any kind to take us through the timeline of how this works. Here we are, just about to close out the 25 year and start the 26 year. So you see I have, these are our dates that we will be using. Remember that we actually have until July 15th to adopt a budget with 10 days prior to that, the requirement of proposing the budget, but with our schedule with governing board meetings, this is where we're falling. So the proposed and adopted budget happens early. So like I was saying, by July 15th, it must be adopted. Depending on where we're at, we may or may not revise in December. It's required if you are 1% over budget, which is a pretty small threshold. So sometimes you have to do it. And then we are required to have our final revision in May. All right, and I did speak last governing board meeting about our current situation with state legislature. A budget has not been passed for the state of Arizona. So unfortunately, districts do still hold the requirement of adopting their budget by July 15th with that uncertainty. So the Arizona Auditor General's office puts out draft forms that meet basically you could kind of say almost like the minimum requirements that are known at that time and some best guesses conservatively. And that's where we're at now with our timeline and with the budget not being passed as a state. We are going to propose and adopt on these draft forms. With that, the base support level, which is in some ways, in common speech, you might say something like the cost per student that we get. That's usually where we see our 2% minimum increase. It's not a given for sure that we're going to get that. So using the draft forms, we're bound to use last year's, the most recently approved base support level, which was $5,013. We do anticipate a 2% increase with that, but that's a guess at this point. We're hoping for that at a minimum. So with the draft forms, we are required to propose and adopt with that as our base support level. And I just want to point out just a couple other, as you know, we do make projections on ADM with current year. So we're guessing at the ADM at this point with our best guesses and using trends that we've seen over the years. There may be one-time adjustments that happen as these talks go on with the state legislature that we're not privy to, and we don't know until it's a final. And one thing we'll always be doing is estimating our carry forward. We still have activity happening in FY25, so we don't know how much we're going to have left in some of our pots, right? So there's an estimate there as to what's really going to be completely done by the end of this month and paid out. So here's our M&O budget, and is a little unique because if you recall last year when I was presenting, we talked about carry forward, and I believe we had a question on that there was no spot on the budget forms for carry forward. So you had to have some sort of cell in here. One of these cells was going to be where you kept your carry forward. Well, that's changed as of this year. So you can see down there on the bottom, I highlighted it in orange. There is now on many pages in our budget, a requirement for you to have a planned carry forward that we are planning to keep at the end of the FY26 year. So if you recall the cell up there, I probably should have highlighted that one too, but the 6,200, that fourth line over from the top, used to have that was where our carry forward was, because that was just the spot we traditionally kept it, because you had to put it somewhere. Now that we have this dedicated spot at the bottom, you can see those big numbers of decrease that I highlighted over on the right side that show a percentage change. Since it's no longer up there where we kept our carry forward and it has a dedicated spot now, that's why you see a drastic change there. So probably not something you'll ever see again with a 1/3 drop in a 1,000 line, but that's the reason for that. So I wanted to draw your attention. It is a new piece, and that's why that number is so big there, because it's now moved to the bottom. So with that, we're hopeful we can carry forward 6.2 million into what would then be the FY27 year. But you know, all of the uncertainties and the draft forms, and that's a hope at this point, and we'll see. All right, and there's our capital. Same thing here. You can see they've actually highlighted it on the forms since it is that new spot. But we again have a carry forward line dedicated for this. We put 500,000 in there that we hope to carry forward at least that much every year. So that's a plan and a hope. But you can also see a pretty drastic number there between prior year and our current budget year of the 18 million compared to the 10 million. We're front rounding there. I wanted to point out that mostly was, if you recall, we did transfer 3 million of M&O to capital to help with our solar project last year. So we had a bump up there. And again, we are budgeting conservatively. So that's why you can see a pretty large difference there. So our strategy has always been to budget conservatively. The thought behind that is it's better to live tight and have more money come to you at the end with a revision upwards rather than the opposite, right? And have a revision down. So how do we budget conservatively? As we are experiencing declining enrollment and we're looking at those trends, you do not know who will be, you know, we have no idea what our 100th day ADM is going to be for the FY26 year. So with that, we look at the trends and we overestimate that decline at this point to budget conservatively, right? So we'd rather be revising up once again. That's the thought behind that. And then additionally with that, since these are on the draft forms, we're still using last year's base support level. We very much believe we'll get at least a 2% bump in that, but we're required to propose and adopt on that base support level. So that's also a factor that is, without our intention, helping us budget conservatively. So here we are proposing the budget, kind of summing up where we're at. We're waiting on the state legislature to approve a budget. And I just want to point out, we do always have the option of revising. So you're not dedicated to those times, but you do have the requirements at those dates that I listed in the beginning there. So again, summarizing, we're on the draft forms rather. With that July 15th requirement of adopting the budget, it's a little misleading for me to say you have to propose by July 15th because everyone's stuck on their governing board meeting calendars. But you know, the math works out that it would be by July 15th or July 5th that it would be proposed. Here we are proposing today. And then looking at what could happen between the proposal tonight and the adoption on June 26th. You can make small changes, but generally that's frowned upon, right? We're trying to have it out there to the public and for that to not change. And we don't anticipate doing any changes of any kind, just kind of laying out what the rules are for it all. So we will certainly be meeting that July 15th deadline with the meeting on June 6th. And I'm happy to answer any questions as best I can.
President Navarez.
Yes. Mr. Concha.
Hello. So I have 3 questions. I've heard from the state senate that they are voting potentially on a budget next Tuesday, but as you know, you can never trust what the state legislature's calendar is. So if they do come up with the budget, will there be any revisions to this proposed budget between now and the next meeting?
Good question. Unfortunately not. We would be with this presentation and the proposal tonight. We would be, like I was saying, that you can make a couple tweaks here and there, but generally you can't change bottom line numbers of what you have. And you'd be kind of hemmed in to adopt on the proposal. But like I was saying, you can revise at any time. That's a formal thing. We are constantly getting updates with our ADM, in-house with reports and ADE. But as far as the governing board goes, we have that option to revise at any time.
Thank you. Thank you. My second out of three questions is the overestimate of a decline in enrollment with a plan to revise up in May. What percentage is that overestimate decline in enrollment?
So right now we're predicting a 4% with the ADM, but also working in tandem with that base level not going up to 2%. So it doesn't work out perfectly because there are formulas in it. It's not a one-to-one match, but similar to a 6% decline is where we're at with that.
Thank you. In my head, I was thinking 3%, and then you said 4%. I was like, wow, very shocking. But thank you for all your hard work. And then my last question, I think, is more for Dana about the schedule. So I know that I will be leaving the country starting on the 26th in the morning and not coming back until the end of July. I love you all, but I need a break. And so will there be any issues with us adopting budget by the 26th with a core?
I would tell you that I'm very hopeful that we will have a quorum on the 26th of this month. That's all I can say. I'm very hopeful. I would assume, having heard from a few of you, that you will be gone in July. However, I have not heard that any of you will be gone on June the 26th.
I will be gone.
Thank you. So,
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
I have a few questions. One of them is just for my clarification, is the carryover amount, or let me just make sure if I said that correctly. Yeah, the carry forward. And I appreciate you having a different item so we can kind of see more clearly. Do you know, obviously the percentage number being 33 or roughly that number is significant, but do you know if we were to have included that, what would be our decrease percentage year to year? Or do you have that
As
in mind?
we discuss it in retreat, we have had a significant carry forward in the last few years. So we have been strategically spending that down. So I want to say it was about 16 million that we brought from the previous year is a fairly accurate number.
And so 16 million to maybe 6 million, but that's also because of the solar project you mentioned. Is that
That was
part of
with
that?
capital, but
Okay, sorry.
I would say there is more to it, that we are budgeting conservatively and hopeful to have a larger amount because we're going to have more ADM than the decline that we're budgeting with.
Okay. And just for like, what does a significant decrease mean for the district if it were to continue significantly over the years?
Regarding ADM?
Yes.
Well, that's the multiplier that's driving the money that comes in for our capital and M&O budgets. So
Sorry, man. Is that from the carryover?
well, the carry forward is what is left over, right? So if you're staying within budget and proportionally expanding and shrinking to your student population, then the carry forward should stay as is, right?
Okay.
If we're staying within our means, I guess is an easy way to, if we're living within our means, the carry forward should not be affected with that.
Okay. And then just other pieces of clarification. So on the timeline, I'm just curious about where does October, if at all, fall with us? I know there's some type of action that for budget we have to do. But does that apply here, or do we just because we're so ahead or behind, or however that works?
My understanding is that the October, there's September thrown out too. The word may is used, and I don't really understand the motivation behind that language. We may revise anytime we want. So I think that that's kind of just maybe a guide or a target that if and when in years where the state legislature is late in passing the budget, so, like a suggestion, if you will, or whatever, that once the dust has settled, maybe it would be a good idea to revise at that time, but you always may revise. So, yeah, it's a little contradictory to me to point out a time you may when you always may. So I think that's part of this, well, maybe you can revise in September, when the dust settles and we actually have true numbers.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, in this, partly for you and maybe partly for anybody else who can answer, but what does the public comment engagement piece look like? Like, have we had much involvement? What areas, do we reach out to get that, those kind of feedback, or if at all?
I know that the requirement, so tonight I will be actually hitting the button to send our proposed budget to ADE, as well as the hearing notification, which is also a requirement. So the hearing requirement, once ADE accepts it, I'm going to take that link and I have to post it on our website so our constituents can see our proposed budget, and it will give the time and place of the 26th meeting where we're going to adopt. So that's, it's posted on the website, the budget's posted on the website. So those are the requirements and we follow those.
Okay. And in the past, has anybody participated in that piece?
I've been around 2 years and I have not seen anyone at the public comment and the public. We do hold a public hearing as well, I should mention. So that's part, I might have said that in terms of posting, but there is a public hearing on our agenda that time as well. So, but I not that I've seen in my time.
Okay, thank you. And it's, even for probably myself and other board members, that there's a lot to take in with this information. And I can't imagine somebody who, unless they're really curious and passionate about financing, that they'll show up. But I think any way to consider ways to engage our community in that way too, I think is important, even though it might feel like it just kind of goes over some of our heads, but I think someone might want to. But it's just my thoughts and concerns around that. Mr. Conchas?
Yes, President Navarez. A technical question on policy. Is there a policy on the carry forward in the district office, or how is that determined?
We have a best practice. I don't believe there's actual policy anywhere of what we'd like to do. I know there's a wide range that districts choose to do that, and there's factors in every district as to how their revenue's coming in and whatnot. But I am following what I learned from my predecessor, and it's been we hope for a 5% in M&O, and capital we try the best we can depending on what one-time projects are happening and whatnot. So
thank you. My last question is, can you give me more confidence that $6,287.736 is enough for our budget carry forward?
and I know it's real small font, but that's the 6 million is the number on that one.
6
So,
million.
yes. So they're both commas. I know it's real small.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you for that. And I believe we'll now call for a motion. So I call for a motion that the governing board approve the proposed 2020-25 and 2020-26 expenditure budget and sign the proposed summary.
I move that the governing board approve the proposed 2025-2026 expenditure budget and sign the proposed summary.
Thank you, Mrs. Florio. Thank you, Mr. Conchas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Moving to H, Human Resources, H1, Position Changes. I call for the motion that the governing board approve the proposed changes for the site academic coach job description.
Mr. President, I move that the governing board approve the proposed changes for the site academic coach job description.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. H2, speech language pathologist evaluation. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the adoption of the revised speech language pathologist, speech language technician, and speech language pathologist assistant evaluation.
That the governing board approve the adoption of the revised speech language pathologist, speak language technician, and speak language pathologist assistant evaluation.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Moving to I, new business. Call for the motion that the governing board approve the amendment to the notice of award Head Start Birth to 5 program funding contract number 161216, amendment number 5.
Mr. President, I move that the governing board accept the amendment to the notice of award Head Start Birth to 5 program funding contract number 161216, amendment number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any discussion?
My discussion is just highlighting the $20,000 that is being added to this award from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. To one of the significant things is fence materials for $9,000 at ATS. So we value our preschool, and I appreciate that we are getting more funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Any other discussion? Just a small comment for me is I attended a community meeting yesterday, and some of the members in that space did not know we had a lot of preschools that are here in Alhambra, and so I was able to share with them that it's been growing and we have a lot of different opportunities for our families, and so it's just great to see kind of my words in action, or my words being backed up by this kind of award. So thank you for just putting a lot of effort to making sure we have a robust preschool system and Head Start programming. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. I2, Superintendent Performance Pay for 2024-2025. I call for the motion that the governing board approve the superintendent's performance pay for the 2024-2025 school year.
That the governing board approve the superintendent's performance pay for the 2024-2025 school year to the full amount per the contract.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes.
I would like to highlight my support for Dr. Myers, and I want to thank you, Dr. Myers, for putting all of our children first, and also with all of the different aspects that we do evaluation. I know that it was hard for me to not do all outstanding, but I appreciate too the collaborative process that we did this year around in terms of getting survey responses from folks in the district. And I appreciate the over 170 plus folks that contributed to that and gave us better insight on how they see your role. And I'm glad that we can all come together to talk about any places for improvement. And that is part of our values of continuous learning and continuous improvement. And so I appreciate you exemplifying those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Do I have other discussions?
Yeah, Mr. President, I would echo those sentiments. And in reading the comments and our evaluation, it was overwhelmingly positive. So this made it an easy motion, and we'll see how the vote goes.
Thank you. All right. All in favor? Do I have this correctly? Yes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Moving to J, board policies. I call for the motion that the governing board approve the second reading of policy IHA, basic instructional program.
Mr. President, I move that the governing board approve the second reading of policy IHA, basic instructional program.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Moving to J2, second reading of policy JLIF, sex offender notification. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the second reading of policy JLIF, sex offender notification.
Move that the governing board approve the second reading of policy JLIF, sex offender notification.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Florio. Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. All right, moving to J3, the first reading of policy IJNDB, use of technology resources in instruction. I call for the motion that the governing board approve the first reading of policy IJNDB, use of technology resources in instruction.
Mr. President, I move that the governing board approve the first reading of policy policy IJNDB, use of technology resources in instruction.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any discussion? I believe Alhambra was already ahead of the curve with this, so just making some modifications based off the state. But it's good that we're at least from Alhambra's standpoint that we keep the focus on learning in a learning environment and not just this loose use of technology. So thank you for that.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I also want to say that the changes to the policy are good, sound policy, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Moving to J4, first reading of policy JLF, reporting child abuse / child protection. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the first reading of policy JLF, reporting child abuse / child protection.
I move that the governing board approve the first reading of policy JLF, reporting child abuse, child protection.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Solorio. I mean, Mr. President.
Yes.
I'm reading the first part of mandatory reporting to include any member of a school district governing board. So my question is, has that been in place previously? And if not, is there training for governing board members in order to go through mandatory reporting training?
Thank you. I think we'll let Dana help with that insight.
Thank you for that question. And the answer to your first question is no, it has not been previously required. And the answer to your second part is yes, there will be training. I've already spoken with Mr. Rivera about how we will process the school board through that, and that will take place in the fall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Moving to J5, first reading of policy JR, student records. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the first reading of policy JR, student records.
Mr. President, I move that the governing board approve the first reading policy JR, student records.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. And again, the last three were our first reading, so we'll have another chance to vote on this again for our second one. Moving to K1, comments from the governing board members.
Yeah, I wanted to take a little moment to honor someone that was a former Alhambra graduate, Alhambra for the Foundation scholar, a really amazing woman. She was undocumented, so that scholarship meant a lot because it broke down some barriers, financial barriers that she faced. And this was my wife, Rocio Almanza, and she sadly passed away last month. And I just wanted to take a moment to honor her and to let you guys know that you guys supported her. She had a tough upbringing, and you guys provided her an environment as a district for her to grow and thrive. And having like the Boys and Girls Club right outside of Simpson was something that she utilized quite a bit, coming from being a latchkey kid. And that, again, that work that you guys did with the scholarship. And I just wanted to take a little moment to personally note that. I didn't want to kill the mood earlier today with the other scholars there, but it's really impactful, the work that you guys do, and really appreciate the work the district does.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any other comments? All right. Moving to K2, comments from superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. This evening we'll begin our comments with Ms. Billiou. Good evening, President Narvaez, members of the board, and Dr. Maez. As we move through June, the operations team is fully engaged in both execution and reflection. While summer is our busiest season, it's also when we step back to assess the work or what worked and what can work better. Across our facilities, transportation, child nutrition, business services, community relations, and federal projects teams, we are leaning into continuous improvement grounded in data. We're not just doing the work, we're measuring it, learning from it, and using those insights to build stronger systems, increase capacity, and position ourselves for even greater impact as we head into FY26. Summer readiness projects are on schedule and departments are collaborating more closely than ever to ensure smooth and confident start to the school year. As a matter of fact, your operations teams met today to collaborate regarding their professional development plans, discussing ways we can streamline and profit from one another's expertise. We're tracking performance indicators in real time, asking the right questions, and challenging ourselves to deliver more impact with more precision. Our team isn't just preparing for the first day of school. We're preparing for the future of school operations in this district, and I'm very proud of the momentum and grateful for an amazing team and for your ongoing support as we continue to raise the bar.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, President Navarez, governing board members, Dr. Maez, and our community. I'll follow along with Ms. Bilyeu's sentiment. We are excited and getting ready for 25-26. I want to share a celebration of our principals, assistant principals, and our human resource team. They have been hiring and working to get candidates into positions, and we are fully staffed for our teacher positions going into June break, right? You know, this is unprecedented, and I believe it's a great collaboration between our leaders at our school sites and our teams, and just really wanting to ensure we put our energy in our classrooms with great teachers for our students so we can start the year strong. We'll spend the rest of our summer making sure that we're connecting with them, building those relationships so they feel ready to come to our new teacher and new staff orientation. And then as well, we'll be working on our support staff positions, which we tend to feel closer to the first day of school. And so ensuring that all of our campuses are fully staffed for 25-26. Getting ready.
Thank you, President Nevares, governing board members, Superintendent Dr. Maez. This year, we set a goal with reducing chronic absenteeism of 5%, and I want to celebrate that our schools did a phenomenal job, and we actually exceeded the goal and reduced it by 6%. So we will take that win, getting kids to school every day. And I also want to give a shout out to our assistant principals and our Gap and Valencia admin and summer school leads. They have done an amazing job taking our summer school program this year and creating a very structured and positive environment for our students. It was no small feat, and a huge thank you to Libby and Cohen and the Ed Services team for their support and their guidance throughout the entire process. But the comments I am getting is that students are happy and teachers are too. So thank you.
Governing Board President Navarez, governing board members, and Superintendent Dr. Maez. During our admin leadership the week of June 2nd, the Ed Services team worked with our site leaders to present professional development designed to ensure that schools have what they need for a strong start to the school year. We started with a vision board process in which schools create a vision board that illustrates their why. From there, we helped schools start in developing their goals based on student level data. To support instruction, we provided content PD in ELA, math, science, social studies, gifted, and ESS. During our PD, administrators participated in a science experiment, learned about the 8 mathematical practices, practiced reading and writing skills, and learned how to reach each and every student, including our gifted students. We are already excited to see this learning in action.
Thank you all. So again, we're very proud of the hard work that's taking place this summer as we prepare to welcome our kids in August. And I want to commend our leaders. I know we received our data, and I commend our leaders for digging into the data and learning what we can so that we ensure that we understand the areas that we can celebrate, a lot to celebrate, and then also a lot of areas for growth. And so we're excited about that. The one other celebration I'd like to add is just that I had the pleasure of being with Miss Elisa Sagala, our assistant principal,
at Barcelona who was awarded Arizona Administrative Association or ASA's Assistant Principal of the Year. And so she was awarded there. And I understand that she was also selected at the national level. And so we're very proud of her and the hard work that she has done and how she represents Alhambra with excellence. So thank you all for all your hard work and have a great evening.
Thank you. All right, moving to K3, Governing Board Direction and or Agenda Item Requests. Yes, Mr. Conchas?
President Navarez, I just I wanted to ask, and we can follow up with the superintendent about our summer retreats for staff and getting more information so we can put those on our schedules, and also maybe one day, if not this year or next year, going back to Sedona. I know money's.
Any other direction and or agenda items? Okay. I guess mine, I think this is the appropriate time to mention about next week's next session. Is that okay for the agenda? Sorry, not next week, for the following. Okay. So this is kind of like a board direction, I believe, but we are going to do an exec session the next meeting, probably be about 30 minutes, and it's to discuss board member attendance. Overall, I just want to say we have the availability, or we have the calendar for the next year and a half or 2 years. So I would just urge everyone to look at that again and communicate with Dana as far as your own personal attendance. And I think we just want to ensure that we can conduct business as we need to, especially some of these major voting items like the budget. So if you can just perhaps over communicate and put that in your calendar, and I think we'll be on the right track for the remaining of this year. But just a strong reminder of that. But we will be having an exec session next meeting for 30 minutes prior to our actual board meeting. Sorry, June 26th board meeting. All right, moving to L. We have a lot of letters this time, huh? L1, next board meeting. Again, reminder, June 26th here in the boardroom. L2, calendar of events. Seeing one. And then L3, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Zaloria. Thank you, Mr. Conchas. All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.